The fallout from the most acrimonious G7 summit in years. President Trump talking a little bit more during his trip after Quebec, broadsiding America's traditional allies by refusing to sign the end of meeting joint statement and lashing out at the host, Justin Trudeau. White House trade advisor Peter Navarro blamed Canada for worsening trade relations.
There's a special place in hell for any foreign leader that engages in bad faith diplomacy with President Donald J. Trump and then tries to stab him in the back on the way out the door. And that's what bad faith Justin Trudeau did with that stunt press conference.
Let's cross over to Washington now and get to our Bloomberg editor, Roz Krasny. Roz, we really haven't heard anything like this from the likes of these economic advisors talking about what came through here in Quebec. What does the president hope to gain by going after U.S. allies?
Well, it is, as you say, kind of an unprecedented turn of events to have presidential aides. You're going so hard after a sitting world leader. So I think a lot of it may have to do with wanting to look as tough as possible on the part of President Trump before the North Korea summit, before the meeting with Kim on Tuesday. And another part of it is just sort of in a continuum with his general idea of blowing up the world order. It's something that may play well with his political base. And ironically, given that Peter Navarro in the clip you just played talked about Trudeau doing a stunt, a domestic political stunt, to some extent I think what President Trump is doing is talking to his base and doing a domestic political stunt of his own. He's got kind of a narrative going. He's talked a number of times about Canada and how they run a big trade surplus with the U.S., which I don't think is actually accurate. And to another extent, Canada is so reliant on trading with the U.S. The U.S. is their biggest trading partner, that really, by putting pressure on Canada, President Trump may think that they could be a first domino to fall in his effort to put America first and really turn the sort of U.S. manufacturing base around. So there's a lot possibly going on here that we don't know about.
And, Roz, it wasn't just Peter Navarro that spoke up. We also heard from National Economic Advisor Larry Kudlow saying Canada stabbed the U.S. in the back. Take a listen.
He really kind of stabbed us in the back. He really actually, you know what? He did a great disservice to the whole G7. He betrayed...
Trudeau did.
Yes, he did, because they were united in the G7. They came together.
And, Roz, it seems like we've kind of renewed these trade frictions once again. What does this all mean for NAFTA now?
Well, it's very interesting. Of course, one thing that we don't know always within the Trump administration is how one faction is playing against another faction. So you've got Peter Navarro, a very hardline person on trade, Larry Kudlow, who used to be the consummate free trader when he was a television pundit, which is just a few months ago. You've got Robert Lighthizer, the trade representative, and you've also got Steve Mnuchin and Wilbur Ross. So there's a lot of different viewpoints in there. And supposedly, according to Chrystia Freeland, who's the Canadian Minister for Foreign Affairs, she's spoken to Lighthizer. She spoke to him at the G7 meeting in Canada, and she said in Quebec today that she would speak to him again today. So there could be sort of more talks and better relations going on behind the scenes than you would think. It definitely seems like Freeland and Trudeau are trying to stand firm on this. Of course, Canadians are the nicest people that everybody thinks, and I believe it's quite true. But they're really drawing a line in the sand over this. So does this really blow up the NAFTA talks? I think it's too early to tell. And we've had very conflicting statements from within the administration and from Trump himself really for weeks and months about what will happen with NAFTA over the next few months and whether a new deal can be struck.